What's up? I'm Jeremy Asgari, and we're back with another episode of Inside with Outsiders. And today we have a superhuman athlete, David Kilgore, here. Thank you for showing up.
Dude, thanks for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
David has been a key player in regards to the Outsiders and success, especially for 2021. I'm praising you, man. Thank you. You are the regional marketing director for On Running, right? New York City?
Yeah, man, I'm the marketing manager in New York City.
Marketing manager. And everyone was like, how'd you get On Running? It's so cool. And I have to be honest, I wasn't too familiar with On Running before you reached out. And now I see On Running sneakers everywhere. And it is On Running because people refer to it as running on clouds as well, right?
For sure, yeah. So that's the sensation for sure of the shoes. It's running on clouds. But yeah, the name brand of the company is On.
Oh, it's just On.
Yeah, but On Running's good too. I feel like it's like very confusing in a sense. It's like On-Running is the website.
Exactly.
On was already taken on the Instagram social handle, so we had to go with On Running, but it's just On Inc. technically. But
yeah, well, to explain to people, how would you recommend we talk? Like, say, yeah, On's our partner, On Running, or on sneakers. But you guys do more than that. You do running apparel.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say anything running, without a doubt. So yeah, apparel, shoes. We also go into the outdoor market as well. We got like boots, like different hiking options, and we definitely dabble in the lifestyle department as well. So I feel like that three trifecta right there: lifestyle, performance run, and outdoor.
Yeah, when you reached out and then you gifted me trail running shoes and hiking boots. And I was like, wow, these are pretty cool. And I was like, let me look into this brand. I looked into it like, oh wow, this is a big deal.
Hands down, man. Yeah, born in the Swiss Alps, but yeah, it's been going like super well. Like has grown like exponentially like over the last like few years, like hands down. And we're still the last 4 years. I think we've been the fastest growing running brand.
I'm not surprised.
World.
And it's funny is I work out at Chelsea Piers. And I started noticing everyone wearing them. And now there's a woman there she comes up to me every time she sees me wearing them. And I've got like 3 pairs now, right? So she comes up to me and she says, oh, this is another pair. I have 9 pairs. And she starts listing the model names. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know all those model names. Yeah. But like, she's like, now every day she comes up to me. She's got to be in her 60s or maybe 70s. And she's a super athlete. Like, this woman is ripped at her age and like so in the gym every day and always coming up to me to talk about On. So you've made me a new friend.
Dude, heck yeah, I love it.
But beyond the brand, you're an amazing athlete. I keep on telling you, and you're like, yeah, I know, like trying to downplay it. I'm like, no, man. I know you've done crazy endurance races. We recently had Stephanie Bishop on the show, who is also an insane. And she loves the adjective crazy. So she's a crazy endurance athlete. And she's doing races at 85 miles. But you just won the Speed Project.
Yeah, man, which is, so nuts. Probably one of the most crazy races I've done in my life.
Tell everybody what the Speed Project is.
For sure. So it's an unsanctioned race from Los Angeles, Santa Monica Pier to the fabulous Las Vegas sign in Las Vegas. So basically, unsanctioned means there's ultimately no rules. So it's kind of like create your own route.
So really? There's no route?
No. So part of it is like almost like orienteering, which is kind of like dope. So it's like make your own route, but the only rule is you can't break the law because nobody has fun with that if you go to jail, right?
Oh, it's like I go on. Well,
yeah.
True.
Depending on your fun.
Exactly. So you can, I guess that's to say you can't go on private property. Is that why?
So basically, you're not allowed to run on major highways. Yeah, because you'll get like pulled over and stuff like that. So any route that you can take to get to Las Vegas as fast as you can, without basically taking any major highway and trespassing. So you can't sleep in anyone else's bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Is there a route that's become like the standard fast route for that race?
So the really interesting part about it all, I feel like, was for the past, I think it's been around for like 7 or 8 years. And ultimately, I ran on a relay team. So it's always been a relay race up until this year where they introduced a solo edition of it.
That's right, because I don't mean to cut you off, but my guys from the Bridge Runners did that race, but it was relay. So one tapped in, the other ones started running, and I thought that was crazy to begin with. but you did it solo.
Oh, for sure, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nuts. Relay or solo, it's like definitely just like one of the wildest races out there.
I don't know if you mentioned the distance, but what is it again?
So it's around 300 to 350 miles, I would say, depending on the route you take.
And how far was your route?
So my route was just over 300 miles. So I took a new route.
Oh, so a route that's never been taken before?
That's never been taken before.
How did you discover this route?
So basically, a handful of years ago when I ran on a relay team, we took the traditional route, and a guy on my team basically just bonked out super hard, ended up going to the emergency room. So definitely like just a super brutal race. And he came back the following year. It was like, I'm going to figure out this race. I'm going to like rip it to shreds, and I'm going to find a new route. So he found like basically like a secret route. Ran it with a different team the following year and blew the record out of the water.
Really?
So this year I kind of was like talking to him a bunch about it.
Did he give it to you like willingly, or were you kind of like sneaking in the right route? You know?
So like every now and then I was like tiptoeing around it, but yeah, he was really, really helpful, and definitely gave me a lot of insight, and I kind of almost made the route a little bit on the fly too. So I altered it a little bit, just because I was running a lot slower than people do on the relay team because I was doing it all myself.
Right.
So basically there's a part of the course that starts going off-road a decent amount of the course. So I was like, you know what? There's like no trees and there's like no like shrubbery out here. I was like, I can just like basically run through the desert and just like cut through the course.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
without really like slowing down. I was like, because I'm already like moving at like a slower pace for myself. I'm not running like 5-minute miles like people on the relay team.
Right.
So I just basically like cut through the desert and found some pretty awesome stuff out there, you know?
What did you find?
Sofas, abandoned planes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Some crack pipes, you know, like all of the above. Yeah.
You're kind of like in Breaking Bad country there, right?
Seriously, yeah.
That's New Mexico, but it's not too far from Nevada.
Yeah, that's honestly what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Like I would stumble upon a crack pipe, and I was like, I get it. I get the vibe.
Like,
yeah.
Someone in a bagel cooking.
I know exactly. Yeah.
How much water are you bringing with you? Like how much water do you have on you?
Yeah, so luckily, like, I had an RV full of stuff, and every now and then would just, like, stop on by. I had pacers basically with me and, like, a crew, so they would almost be, like, my pack mules. They were, like, throwing on, like, vests, have, like, full of water, spraying it on me, cooling me down, and just, like, give me. But
nice.
We went through, I can't even imagine how much water. It was, like, crazy.
It's like a pit crew, I guess. That's
pit crew, basically, like,
so
the whole way.
If you don't have that, is there any way you're finishing that race?
Oh, hands down, not at all.
No.
I would have probably made it, like, 70 miles maybe. And probably just been like laying on the side of the road dead.
Yeah. So you did 300 and how many exactly? You said 310?
So it was like right over like 300 miles. Yeah.
300 miles in how many days?
So right around 4 days. Yeah.
So how many miles a day were you running?
So right under 100 miles. I think my last day was my longest day. I think I ran like right over 90 miles the final day.
One, that's insane. That's crazy. There's something wrong with you. You're like superhuman. But also, I followed you on the race. I was following the updates. It had a crazy stat about your sleep. You slept 5 hours in 4 days.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like so, basically, like it was based off. It's a Whoop. It's kind of like a sports band that tracks like your sleep and like your effort and all that stuff. So my effort, of course, like every day was like, you are 0% recovered. You should take a break.
Yeah.
You know, but I did sleep a little bit more than the Whoop did record.
Yeah, you mentioned that. How much did you sleep in those 4 days?
So I really messed up on the second day, or I guess the third day technically, where I was like, I'm going to switch my plan because it was so hot outside. It was basically like at times it was like 110 to 120 degrees, just like with like zero shade. So I was out there just like roasting, and I was like, okay, like I can move much better during the night, so I'm going to try to sleep during the day. And basically I like altered my plan and I ran a little bit less at night, slept a little bit, and then stayed I ran all the way through the night and then stayed up a little bit in the morning and then tried to sleep all day one of the days. And basically, I couldn't sleep at all because our RV, shout out to El Marte RVs, but
that's a great way to make a sponsor
happy. Yeah, exactly. But unfortunately, the installation in the RV wasn't the best.
I can imagine that like 120 degrees.
So it only like took off like basically like 20 degrees. So if it was like 120 degrees outside, it was still like 100 degrees in the RV if it wasn't moving. So I was like sitting in the bed, just like sweating, just like roasting. So I could not sleep a wink.
Yeah.
Ended up not sleeping at all during the day. Tried to go out at night to run again. And I was just like so tired that I ran like, I still ran like a marathon, but then I was like, I'm so exhausted. I like went to sleep during the night still.
Yeah, still just a little marathon. I've never ran a marathon. The furthest I've ever ran was an accident actually. So I had back surgery like 10 years ago, and I'm friends with Cedric Hernandez and Mike Sace from the Bridge Runners.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to join you for when your runs, but I don't want it to be a long one. Like, no problem. We'll do a 4-miler for this one. So I'll join. So we run from Soho to the Wall Street Ferry. Take the Wall Street Ferry. You're supposed to go to Williamsburg Ferry Station, and run back through Williamsburg up the bridge. That station was closed, and they dropped us off in Long Island City.
Oh my God.
Running like, I think 7 or 8 miles. I've never ran that far in my life.
That's the way to do it, though, man. You get stranded somewhere, you got to run back.
It was great, but here's the problem. There's a couple beautiful things. One thing was the fact it was a hot day, but towards the end of the day, it started pouring while we were running. And normally someone would think, oh, that sucks. No, it felt so good to cool off with that rain. But the problem is I'm competitive. And there were people out there that I knew I was in better shape in. These were runners, though, right? But they looked like there was a portly, short woman running, and I'm running with my friend Lenny, who I play ball with, who's also in great shape.
For sure.
And she's running past us. We're like, no, that's not happening. So we kept up, and we kept up with the front group. Neither of us are runners, right? So we did great. We're like, yo, you're a great runner. For the next 3-4 weeks, I was done.
Yeah.
No
Just
ball,
like
nothing
so
done.
Yeah.
My body was all messed up from that because I didn't train. Matter of fact, I hadn't ran maybe more than 2 miles before that.
Oh, man. Yeah, hands down, like, jumping into, like, any kind of distance like that, I mean, you'll definitely feel it. I mean, I feel like it's almost like me, like, I'll go, like, play, like, soccer sometimes with, like, my buddies without, like, having, like, all those, like, dynamic movements in a while. And I'm just, like, sore for, like, a week. I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like, what happened to me? Like,
yeah, it's funny because I could probably take you in the basketball court and outrun you in the basketball court all day because there's, you're running backwards, side to side, jumping up and down. But I can't keep up with you running. No way. Actually, I do want to go running with you one day and see, one of your warm-ups or something like that.
Got to, man. Got to hit the Palisades. Check out some of the trails.
I'm down. What's funny is, On Running has been an amazing partner. Again, thank you. On is an amazing partner. You guys partnered up with us for the first live edition of Inside with Outsiders, where we did the panel discussion with Sabrina. And I bring that up not only just to thank you, but also because you came to the panel discussion, but you ran from the city over the Brooklyn Bridge or Manhattan Bridge. I forgot which bridge you ran over. Ran over to the panel, hung out. It was like 105 degrees that day.
Oh, dude, it was roasting. Yeah.
You like, yeah, I'll meet you there, and you ran there, and you ran back, and you did a run. So I think what's incredible. Obviously, you're a great runner, but what's really remarkable about you is your ability to recover. Right? I mean, that seems to be like your superpower, right?
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, that's what I do most of the time. I just try to act like I didn't run places. I'll like hide behind the corner, like try to cool down for a second, then I like walk around the corner. I'm like, hey, like, how's it going?
Why would you want to hide that? There's that weirdo again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That running guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember talking to Steve from Fjellraven, who runs the Soho store. And he used to work for Roadrunners.
Yeah.
I think that's what he worked for. But he knows of you very well. And he was telling us that your ability to run up and down like different altitudes is insane, especially because you grew up in flat Florida. So where are you from? We're getting into like all this running stuff, but I want to hear about your start, like your childhood. Like, where are you from?
For sure, man. I'm actually from Palm Bay, right here. You
Palm
got it
Bay.
Right here.
Just in case you forget.
Just in case you forget, we got it going.
How old were you when you got that?
So I got it right when I went to college.
Okay.
Yeah, so like 18, 19.
Gosh, so what was it like growing up in Palm Bay? What's Palm Bay like?
I honestly,
and
man,
where in
it's
Florida
like,
is it?
So basically, if you have ever gone to Orlando, Disney World, all that, so it's basically straight to the East Coast from there. So the beach everyone usually goes to if they visit Orlando is Cocoa Beach. So that's right in my same county.
How far is it from like Palm Beach?
I think it's like an hour and a half, like
Okay, so
north.
it's further north, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what kind of place is that?
But yeah, man, I feel like it's like definitely like a very like eclectic, I guess, like mixture of like everything.
Explain.
So I feel like there was like 15 minutes down the road, or like 20 minutes down the road was like tons of like surfers, like beach guys. I grew up more like in the city, which is like not the
Like
city
the
compared
downtown?
to
Yeah, of
exactly,
course.
like the downtown of like everything. So it was like a little bit more like, I guess, like, you know, like people just like neighborhoodies, like
Right.
stuff like that. And then another like 15 minutes away, there was like, I feel like swamp people almost, you know.
You know who was there? Florida man was there.
Exactly.
Florida
Hold
man.
on.
Exactly.
Wait, what a swamp people.
Yeah.
I thought we only had that in Jersey.
Yeah, we call them rednecks, not swamp people.
Exactly, more or less, basically, yeah. So I feel like I was just like a mixture of everybody. I had people like, they're like, hey, dude, like, I'm going to a surf contest, come sleep on the beach with me. Or I was like going out in like swamp buggies, like playing in the swamps, like like catching like snakes and like
Is that the
baby
Everglades?
alligators and stuff like that. So I'm like 2 hours north of the Everglades, but kind of like similar vibes. So there's tons of like alligators, like manatees, like all of that like around me. And I grew up like playing around like in stick marshes like all the time and like swimming out there and stuff. So
You swam out where there's gators and stuff?
for sure, man. Yeah, like, but a bunch. I feel like it's just like Florida vibe. Like there was like places with like amoebas and stuff in the pond. Like the pond closed down. You can't swim in there anymore. Like someone died, which is like terrible. But
Florida's a weird place, man.
Florida's a weird place. Yeah, for sure.
And I've always known that it's been a weird place.
Yeah.
But like this pandemic proved how weird that Florida is.
Oh my
It's just
gosh. Yeah.
it's lawless.
Hands down, man.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
listen, Florida's its own country. Like it's
Basically.
literally, it's like its own world.
And southern Florida is like a South American Caribbean country. It's really different from the rest.
Seriously is. Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived in Miami for a year, and that's so true. But yeah, I definitely love. I don't know how much backlash it's gonna give me, but I love Florida. It's definitely like close to my heart. But I love the energy.
Why would you
and
be backlash?
and the
Florida man's running 350 miles through the desert.
Dude, honestly, that was probably my biggest accolade I've ever gotten in my life. I ran
The speed project?
100 miles last year and raised a bunch of money for local run retail shops and like COVID first responders.
Okay.
But I actually made a Florida Man headline. So
Really?
I have my own Florida Man
Do you?
headline. And I was like, I won. I can't do anything else in my life.
And this one didn't land you in jail.
Exactly.
There you go. You win.
That's what they were saying. They're like
Yeah.
a Florida man we can get behind.
Yeah.
All right, guys, here it is. The next governor of Florida.
Anyway, you just came back from a 100-mile race, right?
I did. Yeah.
And you came in fourth place? Is that?
I came in 8th place actually.
Eighth place,
yeah. So out in Leadville, Colorado. So shout out to
Fat Tire.
Fat
that's right, on
Tire.
that
Get a
note.
little
Hey,
crack open. Hey.
shout out
Cheers
to
to
Colorado.
that.
Cheers to your 8th place. And out of how many people?
So I think there was around like 650 to 700 starters, and I think there was around 300 finishers. But super brutal race, and definitely like I feel like I can say like one of the most iconic 100 miles in the world. It's called the Leadville 100.
Why is this so iconic?
So basically, I feel like it just kind of like rose through the ranks, but I really like learned a lot because I spent about 3 weeks out there training because it's at such high altitude, and it just has like a super rich like cool history. But basically, it's like an old mining town.
Okay.
And so in the like low 80s, 1980s, basically, I guess the Climax mine in town was doing a lot of like cutbacks. They're like, we don't really need miners, I guess, as
Right.
much anymore. We have like all these machines, like all this stuff. So they had like tons of layoffs. And one of the miners out there, who's now the race director, he was like, oh my God, like I love Leadville. This is like our whole economy is like around mining. So even if you go out there now, it's like, just tons of old mines that are like abandoned. It's really cool, actually, really beautiful. And he's like, what's gonna make people stay the night, and what's gonna make people really hungry and want to eat at the restaurants? And he's like, I'm gonna make people run 100 miles. And so he like founded
What year was it? What year was it started?
So I think it was started in the mid 80s, like 85 or something like that.
And was that a thing? 'Cause I feel like ultra endurance races are popping up more and more now. But in the 80s, was that a popular thing by then?
So it was starting. I wouldn't say it was like popular at all, but basically the Western States 100, one of the oldest 100-mile like prestigious races like in the world, it started then, and that's where this guy got the idea from. He saw that, started it there, and it was still pretty low key, but basically helped this whole town. I mean, it's a pretty small town in comparison to things,
Right.
but it helped it survive, and now it's surrounded by this like legacy fund. And it has people like coming in from all around the world now to do like the 100-mile biking races. They have multiple races throughout the year, and they have like a pretty cool like fund to like get into. Basically, you can like buy your way in as well if you donate to this fund, which is that's really cool.
Are you getting asked to be part of these races?
Yeah, for the most part, there's a certain amount of them. I feel like as prestigious as Leadville, like every now and then I'm like, hey, like this is sick. Like, how do I get in?
Yeah.
But a lot of the time I do get invited to a certain amount of like, I feel like crazy races.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why. Do you think, I mean, I'm guessing ultra endurance running is not an Olympic sport, but do you think it's headed that way?
Yeah, man, without a doubt. So actually, luckily in Leadville as well, I had the pleasure to stay with a person who's been among the Olympic Committee for quite a while.
Okay.
And she's actually talking to me quite a bit about that,
Really?
Which is super exciting. I think there's definitely like a lot of room with just like other sports getting introduced, and they're trying to keep it fresh. And I don't know, I feel like ultra and like trail running is like so exciting, and there's like tons of cool ways to broadcast it, whether it's like through like drone and aerial footage or even through the just like checkpoints. But it's super cool and like really iconic with the scenery usually around
agree.
it.
I mean, I think it's incredible feats what people are accomplishing with these ultra races, and athletes like you and Steph, especially Steph, like I'm shocked that she's not sponsored by a brand. She's a brand partner behind her really pushing. And I'd love to see an athlete like her, like you, in the Olympics, because it's about pushing the human body to accomplish feats that normally people wouldn't even attempt, right?
Without a doubt, man. I feel like it's so much like exactly hit the nail on the head. It's like about the human spirit, and there's so many like avenues like within it. There's so many like good athletes, and I feel like 100-mile distance is like so random. Like anything can happen, like at any time. So I feel like honestly getting to the finish line each time is just like such a huge accomplishment.
I mean, it's a huge accomplishment for marathons, and marathons are a little more than a quarter of that, right?
Yeah,
so
without a doubt.
I think. Listen, if we can somehow sign a petition for ultra endurance races to be part of not just running, but these things that like the death race. Sorry, that's my gratitude alarm. Grateful you're here.
I just yelled at him before we started this episode.
Yeah.
That goes off no matter what. If my phone's on silent or not. I know we keep on talking about racing because I'm so intrigued by what you do, but I also want to know about you. Like you talked about, like
I have one question about racing. Are you gonna do the Moab 240 or what is it?
Yeah, it's the Moab 240. Yeah, one of those days, man. I would love to jump into it. Honestly, I talked to after doing the speed project. I honestly feel like it's almost better to go longer, which sounds like counterintuitive or goofy.
That's what Steph said.
Than to run even short, even like 100 miles. Like even, because I feel like you can do 100 miles in a day, which is like very challenging.
No, you can do 100 miles in a day.
But like, I don't know, every time you kind of do it, like your body, I feel like is like, gets like shocked into it a little bit. I feel like you're like 30 miles into it and you're like, wow, this was a terrible idea. This kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I can't believe I have 70 miles to go. Whereas I feel like when you're doing those like really, really long races where it's definitely going to take multiple days, at least the first day you kind of get like shocked into it and you're like, okay, well tomorrow I'll probably feel better. My body already knows what's going on.
I think, Steph described it as this, like one, she has asthma, which is weird. And it takes her a while for her to warm up. Like a marathon's too short. But once she gets in this like zone, she says she just cranks out miles after mile in days of running. And well, she's not really she does trail running and all kinds of different obstacle courses, I guess. But
yeah.
To think that for her it's easier to do 100 miles as opposed to 26, I don't understand it because I haven't done it. I can't get my mind around it. It's 100 miles. But are your parents from Florida?
Yeah, so my dad is actually from Alabama, and my mom is from Florida originally.
Okay.
But grew up there basically my whole life.
And when did you leave for college?
Yeah, for college.
But before college, you were obviously an athlete your whole life, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I feel like more or less. I mean, it sounds like when I thought back about this, I feel like it was like about a year ago. People were just like, I was like in an interview, and I remember when I was like not that great at sports, I guess, like originally, when I was like
like team sports and stuff?
Yeah, like team sports when I was like 5 years old,
yeah.
Which sounds like really goofy, but I remember thinking back to this moment. But I was in kindergarten. I had to like sit out of something, and I felt like so defeated and embarrassed. And I was like, I never want to feel like this again. Like I'm like going to be like really good at sports. Like I want to be good at sports.
Yeah.
And I feel like after that moment, like, I was just like really into sports. I feel like growing up my whole life, like played a lot in like my neighborhood, like basketball and football. Definitely probably not to your level in basketball or football, but I played like a lot of soccer.
I played soccer and basketball. I never played football.
And then basically it led into running, and nobody in my family ever did any running, and I definitely just randomly like lucked out. I grew up in like a different part of town to like where I went to high school at.
Okay.
And my dad was like trying to like get all buff, you know, like he was like working out a ton in the gym. And then he was like, I'm getting too big. He's like, I want to like trim down a little bit. Yeah. It was trying to run a little bit more. So I was like, you know, like a little kid, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. My dad's running. I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And I was running on a treadmill in a gym while I was like working out. I was like running like a mile or two, just like sprinting as fast as I can. And some lady came up to me and was like, hey, like, you like look pretty good like running. And I was like shy, like I don't know how old I was, like 5th grade or something. I was like, oh, you know, like you want to
why am I picturing like Morty from Rick and Morty?
Yeah, exactly. Seriously, I really was, yo. Like I was like, you want to talk to my dad? You know, like and basically, yeah, like she talked to my dad, and I was lucky enough to get introduced to my high school coach, who's like one of the most like I think he's like the most decorated high school like track and field coach in Florida history.
Wow.
And basically ever since then it was like, yeah, history. I like won a bunch of state titles.
Were you like from the start faster or better, like a top track athlete? And what was your event?
So yeah, kind of, I feel like right out the gate, I was like decent at it, just cause I feel like my like soccer background and everything, I was like running around like all the time. But I ran like the mile and a half mile for a while until I got to high school. And then I feel like 5K was like my bread and butter, throughout high school.
I actually ran track in college for one semester because the track team didn't have enough athletes. And I was the fastest one in the basketball conference, but basketball speed compared to track speed, there's no comparison. Track speed is another level.
What'd you do? What were your events?
My events were the 100, the 200, and the 4x100 relay, and the long jump.
So awesome, man! Yeah. It's so fun.
It was great, and what's funny is the first event I had was a D3 event. Mm-hmm. It was a joke. That event was a joke because our long jumper on the team, the first event we get there, and there's like me and 2 other basketball teammates of mine. And the coach says, all right, we got long jump basketball boys. You want to do this? Like, yeah, sure. Let's do it. So I go. I'm the first one to go, and I'm running from like what would be the 3-point line. And these people are running from like 50 meters away. So I'm running from like a quarter or a third of the distance running, and I'm jumping with my arms forward like a basketball player. My first jump was 6 feet further than our longest long jumper on the team.
Oh my God. Heck yeah, man.
And that kid, I was almost came in first that meet, but the kid on the other team beat me by 2 centimeters on his last jump. And the funny thing was, I didn't care. He was getting so pissed at it.
I bet, man. Yeah, just like off the basketball court.
Exactly.
Just like...
And I'm really running. I'm taking a few steps and jumping because I'm not used to it. But then we placed pretty well in a 4x100. Then we hit the Division I, the CW Post. That was a different story. I didn't even bother long jumping because these guys were long jumping like the length of buses. And I remember I was standing on the line because I did the 100 there. Mm-hmm. And usually in a Division III meets, like I was, I kept up. Like I wasn't winning them. I wasn't supposed to win them either. But I was like, I was coming in 4th, 3rd. Like I was like keeping up with them. So Division I meet, the gun goes off. I take off, and I have a really fast first step. So the first, 20 yards, 20 meters, I'm there. I'm up front. And all of a sudden, when it hits like 30 and 40 meters, they take off. And I'm looking around like, should I even continue?
Yeah.
Walking off like,
yeah.
oh, my bad.
Yeah. I'm out of here.
Exactly. That made me realize like the difference between somebody who's a track athlete pedigree versus an athlete for a team sport is totally different.
Oh my God, man. Yeah. I mean, I think that's like, but participating in it overall though is so dope. I think that's one of the things I've always 4x1. I feel like it's like so hype at track meets.
It's fun.
Like all the time, it looks so cool.
It's a lot of fun. The only bragging rights I had on the track was I got hand timed. 22.8 seconds for the 200.
Heck yeah.
Hand timed. So it was probably
Dude.
like 25.
Gotta take it. You gotta take it.
But I was 19 at the time, and I'm probably running that in 32 seconds.
Yeah, it's not too shabby still.
I'm not timing that. I'll probably pull a hamstring actually.
Yeah.
So, what you must have gone to college for?
Yeah, man. I feel like a wild ride in college, to be honest. I went to 3 different colleges actually.
Really? Why?
Yeah. I feel like odd coincidences.
What do you mean? Like, well, what 3 schools did you go to? In what order? Like, where'd you go first?
For sure. So right out of the gate, I went to the University of Colorado in Boulder, which is like a super prestigious like distance running school.
And basketball school too.
Yeah, actually, yeah, going to the games was like super awesome.
Yeah.
It was a ton of fun. But yeah, actually, I went there for 3 years. Ended up like improving, but not to the level that I wanted to, more or less. And my like scholarship didn't get boosted up all the way. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to Florida. So I went back to Florida. I was supposed to go back there for 2 years because I redshirted my first year in Colorado. Yeah. So I went back, got in-state tuition, all that stuff. So I was like, cool, squared away. I'm good to go. No student loans. Yeah. Love to hear it. Went there for a year. And then basically I was moving back to Colorado at the time for a girl. So I was like finishing up school early and was going back to Colorado. As you can take the way the story didn't work out.
Sorry to hear that.
No, it's all good.
Or not.
Exactly.
Because your current girlfriend seems cool as hell.
Oh yeah, she's the best, hands down. Molly's fantastic. And but so it didn't work out, and so I was like, dang. So I got to finish up school, finish up undergraduate.
Where'd you finish up undergrad?
At University of Florida.
Okay.
So
and did you run your last couple of years when you were kind of floating around between schools?
So basically, I was running at Florida. I was actually in like crazy good shape. And again, I was taking so many credits that I basically couldn't run spring track.
Why not?
I took.
Because you had too much undergrad.
Yeah, I basically was taking like a third of my degree. I took 37 credits.
Why did you do that?
Because I was just trying to finish up to go back to Colorado.
Did you put running on the back burner?
So I put running on the back burner.
Oh, okay.
And basically did that. Finished up my undergraduate. Went to a summer camp, and in the middle of the summer camp, I knew this like older gentleman that worked there. He was like one of the founders of the camp. He's probably like in his like 80s or something like that. And he was like, "Hey, like, what's up? Like, what are you up to?" And I was like, I don't really know. I was like, I just finished up college and trying to figure that out now. And he's like, you still have eligibility, right? And I was like, yeah. So I ended up going to graduate school at Oklahoma State, left in the middle of camp, and they got me into grad school like in a day.
Wait, who, like I did?
Basically, he was like, I don't know if the coach will be interested. He's like, I'll hit him up to see if he is. And if he is, he'll contact you. So he was interested.
And what was your event there?
Contacted me the next day. So I ran cross country there.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long are those typical races?
So it's usually like 8K or 10K, which is like a 5 or 6.25 mile race. But yeah, so I did that for a semester, finished up my eligibility in Oklahoma, and then called it a day. So I went to University of Colorado, University of Florida, and Oklahoma State University.
Okay, which one was your favorite?
Man, that's tough. I feel like they're all so different, which is like really, really cool because like all of them were very prestigious like running schools, which was like really rad. So I got to see like a lot of different like cool coaching techniques and all that. But honestly, maybe my last one, I just like really love the culture of the team and like everything overall. I feel like I'm more of like a chill, like laid back guy. And it was like everybody was there like working hard, but it had more of like a like chill environment in the sense of being like, do what you need to do.
Right.
But make sure you're like ready to perform.
It wasn't like a screaming coach in your face or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't stand that. I mean, a strength coach is different, but like an actual coach shouldn't be doing that, in my opinion.
For sure, man. Yeah, and I feel like yeah, like I'm so like intrinsically motivated that I don't really like need someone being like, you need to work hard. You know, like it's like oh, like dude, just like let me know like what's going on.
Yeah, if weight training or like a strength coach scream at me, do that to motivate me. But if you're like the head coach managing everything about the team, like you need to figure out ways to speak to each player based on how they respond to different tones.
Oh, hands down, without a doubt.
Unfortunately, a lot of them don't. Unfortunately, so then after college, tell me what happened.
But yeah, man, it was wild. So I mean, even at Oklahoma, it was like pretty wild time, and I ended up stopping there a semester early as well. So so when I was younger, so my parents split when I was like younger, which is like chill or whatever. Like, but I grew up like in my household with my stepdad, like Barry, and so my mom and Barry actually invested in a business, which was like probably not the best idea at the time.
Yeah.
So they invested in a business, which was like, it was like a smoothie chain, and like put a lot of their eggs in one basket. And at the time, unfortunately, when I got to Oklahoma, Barry passed away. So at the time, I basically had to shift all my classes to online classes as well. And I went back home to like help my mom deal with like the smoothie business and like selling that and like all that organization. Yeah. So I went home and was like traveling to meets at Oklahoma and like going to school online and like working in Florida for like 2 or 3 months, and then ended up going at the very tail end of it. Once we got everything squared away, I went back to Oklahoma. I was kind of like, I think I'm done with college now after like all these different
How many years was this?
Yeah, I was like
Did you get your PhD?
4.5, exactly. Seriously, it reminds me of what is it, Tommy Boy, when he says he's like, lots of people go to school for 9 years.
They're called doctors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What accolades? What awards did you win as a runner in college?
Oh man, it was awesome. I feel like it was like really cool, like I said, to just experience it all. But most of it was like around like team accolades. So I was like on some really good teams. So when I was at University of Colorado, we actually won. I was an alternate for the national championship that the team won.
Oh, wow.
I was on a few different conference championship teams. At Oklahoma State, I was on a conference championship team. And at Florida, actually the year after I left, but they're like always like competing for a national championship as well, like for track. Damn. So all the rest were like more cross country focused, and then Florida was a little bit more like speed and track focused. Yeah. So crazy sprinters and jumpers there, which was like super epic. But yeah, man. So definitely got to do a lot of that. So it was just like a lot of great energy and a lot of great like team camaraderie. Like was super sick.
What did you do after college? Like how'd you end up? I kind of want to tie in like where you went from school to where you're at now.
Yeah, man, without a doubt. So basically, like, after school, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing next. Yeah. I honestly, like, wanted to take a break from running. And my buddy was like, dude, like, you, like, love the outdoors. Like, you should just go, like, go to Moab, Utah. It's, like, super sick. Like, go out there. So I was like, dope. I'm going to go to Moab, Utah.
Nice. We're actually going to do a trip to Zion National Park in April. I haven't announced it yet.
Oh, my gosh, man.
We need to talk about that.
So epic. It's so epic.
Come. Yeah.
Dude, hands down. Let me know.
And don't forget, I know you're going to talk about Moab and all that, but I also want to know about your new project, Forest.
For sure.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, man.
We'll talk about that when we get to it. So tell me more. You went to Moab, and what did you do out there?
So basically, I packed everything into this like small Chevy Sonic that I had. Put everything on one side of the car. Everything fit on one side of the car, and I was sleeping on the other side. Get out to Moab, Utah, and I'm like have this like grand scheme in my mind. I'm like, I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna be able to like work like right away and like do all this stuff. And I get out there the first night, and everything's closed down. They're like, oh, this is like the season where like everybody's gone. It's just like super cold like right now. And so I ended up like sleeping like in a pile of my stuff when it was like 0 degrees. Like the first night, kind of like burrowed into like the bottom of this pile of crap in my car. And so basically stayed out there. Ended up getting a job working at like a hotel. So I worked at Hotel Moab as like a hotel like I don't know, lack of a better term, like a hotel maid. And so I did that for like how long? Like 3 or 4 months. And then I was like getting into like trail, like running a bit and like ultra running. Went down to Arizona, left Moab, stayed in Arizona for like like a month and a half. Like worked in like a construction yard, ran the Black Canyon 100K, which is one of my first ultras. And then went to like this like ultra running camp for like adults, like near Ventura, California, and like camped on the beach for like a week, which was like just like super rad.
Yeah.
Went out there, and then one of my buddies graduating from the military back in Oklahoma, so drove back to Oklahoma, stayed there, and I was like, you know, I just been like kind of dirtbagging around like more or less for like 6 months. I was like, I'm kind of like bored and lonely. I was like, so I'm gonna go back home to Florida and figure it out. And right when I was like going back home, someone that I grew up with actually worked in an HR department for a marathon photo. And luckily I was like in super beautiful places, so like any photo I was taking was like gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're like, your photos are great, like we want to like hire you for this job to take photos for the Boston Marathon start through Marathon Photo. And so basically like I went, interviewed for the job, got the job, and flew into Philly because it was cheaper, and I drove up to Boston. But when I was cutting through New York, I was texting a group, so I met a group of people in New Hampshire at a running camp that I was working at, and one of them being my girlfriend. But at the time, we basically were like, you know, like it was just like an acquaintance thing. I was like, hey, like I'm David, and she's like, I'm Molly. And,
how it starts.
And basically, I hit up that group of people, and Molly being part of that group, she texted me back like directly and was like, hey, I don't live in Boston anymore. I actually live in New York City. And I was like, I'm actually driving through New York City right now. And she's like, are you staying around for the day? And I was like, yeah.
All of a sudden you were.
Yeah, exactly.
I see how you're doing. Yeah.
And terrible line on my part, but I was like, by the way, I'm not like a creepy guy, but I've been sleeping in my car.
And I've just grown this mustache, so.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I've never been in New York City basically before. I was like, I don't really want to like sleep on the street or sleep in my car on the street. I don't want to get towed or whatever happens. And I was like, so can I like crash on your couch? And she was like, yeah, I'm having a bunch of friends over, so just like come over. And I was like, cool. And basically I've been living with Molly ever since.
Never left.
So I never left, yeah.
All right, so Molly ran a hostel.
Yeah, exactly. Molly ran a hostel more or less, and I was the one that stuck around.
So did you end up going to Boston for that weekend or what?
Yeah, so that's how we kind of got to know each other too. So we rode together up to, she was like, I have a family party. And I was like, cool.
I was going to say, how'd that happen? It must have been a good night.
Yeah. Yeah, so I basically crashed there with like everybody. I went to visit her family at this party. She was like, yeah, I'm like going up to New Hampshire for this family party. She's like,
so
you
like
wanna
after
come?
your first time hanging out, you go see your family?
First day,
right away?
So I
Wow.
went the next day, and I was like, oh, like you probably have like, she's like, it's like a graduation party. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like 4 or 5 people, whatever. Like, cool. Like, we'll hang out, grab some beers. And she has like a family of like 60 people.
Oh my God.
So I get there, and everybody's like, who is this? You know, like, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like wild. So I meet everybody in her family.
Your running skills come in handy.
Yeah, exactly. And then we go to Boston the next day, and that's where she went to college and everything. So I met like all of her college friends. So basically in like 2-3 days, I met everybody like in her whole life.
Yeah.
And then I moved. I stayed in there.
How long ago was this?
So this was like 5.5 years ago. So
Wow.
so yeah, basically like as
That's
long as
quite
like
the story.
knowing each other.
Yeah.
And then like at first at New York, I was like, I don't know about this place. Like I had like $0.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't even like drive across the bridge. I can't pay to get back in the city. And so I was like, I don't know about this place. But it definitely has grown on me, and it's definitely like one of a kind. I love it here.
You see yourself staying here?
Oh, without a doubt, man. I love the East Coast, and I just like love the vibe overall, and it's such a cool spot. And I mean, yeah, like I said, I love the East Coast overall. I love Florida, and just being around. My family's like a little bit smaller, but like definitely super cool people. But it's so cool to have like be around like a large family. It's like so awesome.
I'm sure you also have the best scenario in the fact where you live in New York, and then because of your work and all these different races, you're traveling all over the place. So you're getting out of New York because New York can consume you. Obviously, it's stressful. So,
without a doubt, man.
You get to get out of here and then come back. You know, it's like this. I have this relationship with New York City. I think we all do, where you love it. The energy is so. magnetic. It pulls you and you love it, but it also wears you down. So you got to leave. And then when you're gone long enough, you miss it. You need energy back. You need that fix. So you have that going on. That's perfect balance.
Oh, without a doubt, man. I feel like that's I feel like it's going so well that anytime I leave, I miss being back in New York. And then anytime I'm in New York, sometimes I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get back out to the mountains.
Exactly.
So it's so cool. Definitely a great balance.
It's kind of something. It's kind of like the same thing we present to people for outsiders, although it's day trips, and we're starting to do more, weekends and destination travel. But just the 45-minute travel or hour travel away from the city for 8 hours or 6 hours we're away is definitely recharging to a certain extent, right? So people's demeanors change entirely while they're hiking, for example, or river tubing or whatever we're doing. The camping weekend was amazing. It was 3 days of being away, or 2.5 days, and getting to really connect with people and spending time with them. So that's I totally hear that getting out of the city is necessary, but into nature especially.
Oh, without a doubt, man. I think that's like such an iconic thing about what you guys are doing at Outsiders is giving people that opportunity. And I mean, there's so many cool spots around New York City. And I mean, that's what I tell people as well. I feel so many times in like trail races, it's you see my name and results or whatever. It's like Oregon, Colorado, Utah, Bronx, New York, Oregon, Colorado.
Yeah.
And they're like, where do you even run in the city and all this stuff? And I'm like, honestly, man, I was like, you can leave 45 minutes, an hour,
it's true.
Whether it's going to the beach on Long Island or going outside. I was like, so many great outdoor spaces, but then you're right there. I mean, so many times I leave during the week to get out and just run a trail or something to train. And I'm I feel almost every time still, I'll be halfway through the run. I'm just this is crazy. I'm 30 minutes outside of New York City. This is mind blowing.
I've spoken about Gertrude's Nose Trail that's in Minnewaska State Park, and we did that in, I think it might have been April. But what's crazy, we posted photos. We got great photographers working with us. We posted photos from the trail, and people were asking, where is this? Where'd you go? People, is this Utah? I'm like, no, you can tell by the color of the rock. It's not. But still, it was it looked like we were a flight away from New York. Meanwhile, we're an hour and a half away, and it was a beautiful place. That's one of my favorite scenic trails in New York State.
Oh man, yeah, it's.
Have you done it yet?
Yeah.
It's so nice.
So awesome.
How long have you been with On?
So I've been with On now. What is it? Almost September. So it'll be 3 years in September.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you stumble across working with one of the biggest up and coming running brands?
Honestly, man, yeah, just pure luck. To be honest, well, basically, when I got out of school, like I was saying, and I definitely got into trail and ultra running a little bit, but also I took a break after I even did some of that. When I first met Molly and everything, of course she knew that I ran a little bit because we originally crossed paths at a running camp, but ultimately she had no idea that I really ran. At all for the first 6 months, and she basically I feel a little bit responsible for getting me back into racing and running and stuff, because I feel being so competitive for so long, and I'm sure anybody can relate to that's been in any kind of competitive sport when they were younger. And I was I don't want to work in running. I don't even want to run myself, I think. And I was I just want to take a break. So basically took a break for a little while. Molly ended up kind of getting me back into running, and I was like, okay, this is dope. I actually kind of maybe want to do this a bit myself again.
Right, back on your own terms though, right?
Yeah, back on my own terms. I was but I don't think I want to be surrounded by my whole life again with it, so I don't want to work in it and kind of want to stay away from it. And then I feel kind of over the years when I was doing other stuff and I was jumping around from job to job and just being trying to explore really what I wanted to do with my life. And it kept kind of leading back into running, and people kept inviting me out to stuff, and this is really cool. You should just come and have fun and do it. And then I was wow, this is really rad. And then after a little while, I was okay, maybe I'll dip my toes in this again, and started looking at different jobs, and a tech rep position actually popped up for On, and I hit one of my good buddies that I grew up with, who was the tech rep in DC at the time. I was hey, what do you know about this? And he's I actually know a lot about this. He's let's jump on the phone. So I ended up going through the whole interview process and starting off as a tech rep with On.
What does a tech rep do for On?
So basically, you monitor, I would say, like a lot of different like retail accounts, and help with like the sales team to make sure like everything's like squared away. So at the time, I think I had like 80 to 90 different run retail specialty accounts that I would go visit pretty frequently, and I would do like events, like merchandising, and all that.
Oh, I can see how that leads into marketing because it's on the same path. Yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of basically during that time as well, I was getting more into running myself again. Ended up, so I feel like a pretty unique role, like I would say, like in the run industry overall, because now I was like employed by a company, but I also ended up signing a professional contract with them as well as an athlete.
Oh, nice.
So it's pretty rad.
Yeah, that's great. You have it on both sides, I guess, right? So you get to increase the visibility of your brand, which then increases your visibility. So good job.
Without a doubt, yeah, 100%, man. And I just feel like it's like so cool because even at the end of the day, like even if I guess did like professional athletics, I think it's like just like so cool. One, I'm just like kind of a busybody person. I like bouncing around all the time.
Yeah.
But also I think it's just like really rad to have like some internal like say and input of like what's going on in the field and like what I can kind of see like on the ground level like all the time, whether it's like a lot of my buddies who are like professional athletes or just like in the run community or I mean even doing like super rad events like Outsiders and having like a voice to pitch to be like, hey, like this is like a super sick thing going on in New York City, like you should like really check it out. So
yeah, I appreciate you like finding us and the fact that you can pick out what you find is cool. Like that's what I like about Outsiders too for myself. Like, you know, like how do you come up with these events? People ask me that all the time. I'm like, it's because I think I do what I want to do. Like I put on the events that are interesting to me because I know if I find it interesting, I'm not that special where I'm the only one that finds it interesting, right? Which leads to the next thing, your new project. What is I saw this Forest. It's called Forest, right?
Yeah, Forest Running and Recreation.
Forest Running and Recreation, great name.
Thanks, man.
I like the branding so far. I mean, it's real new, but like whoever is doing your creative stuff is great. What is it exactly?
Yeah, much appreciated, man. So basically, I would say it's like mostly a creative company. So me and my good buddy, who's a great videographer, photographer, Brendan, we've done a lot of projects over the last few years. We actually went to high school together and kind of reconnected later in life, and I feel like blossomed into like a really like close friendship, which has been really, really rad. And when he first moved to the city, I can't remember like how long ago that was. It must have been like 3 years ago or something. We put together like this group chat. We just like called it Forest, and they were, I think, like basing it off like Forrest Gump or something.
I didn't put the two and two together. No.
And so we were like we're Forrest and all this stuff, and we're just like kind of like goofing around.
Yeah.
And it was me, Brendan, and Jack, and we had this like group name for a while, and then kind of like over the years we just like started talking about it, and it just really evolved. I feel like over the last like 6 months about like what we wanted to do and just kind of like push forward. I would say running and like the run industry overall, and just like with like creative projects, we like just kind of I feel like want to almost be like an open entity to like be like very like collaborative, like even with like brands in general, and be like, hey, like we just like want to tell like super cool stories, like release some product around that, and just like really like highlight like what's going on in the run industry and just like hopefully make it cool in a sense.
Well, we've never done a trail run before, so why don't we do Outsiders, Forest, On? I'm not sure if you're going to incorporate On as well. I guess you will. But why don't we do some sort of series that way?
Dude, would love it. It'd be epic.
Let's work that out.
Hands down.
Yeah. All
Let's
right.
do it.
Cool. All right. Let's get some more of these questions that I hit people with. What's your favorite part of Outsiders?
Dude, I would say honestly, like, kind of what you were saying a little bit. I feel like I love like the entrepreneurial spirit of things. So one, I kind of like dug that. Like I got the sense of it, or even talking to you a little bit, that you're like, I think this stuff is like super rad. So I feel like, I don't know, like I guess like a lot of my energy comes from other people's energy. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of the time. So like if someone comes to me that's like super hyped about something, they're like, this is like the coolest table in the entire world. I gotta show it to you like right now. I'm like, damn, Hell yeah, dude. Let's like check out this table.
Oh,
I'm about it.
I appreciate that. I built that out of pallet.
Yeah.
So Chris built the tables and the background.
Oh my God, perfect.
The whole set.
I love it. And so I don't know, man. I feel like I sense that energy from you, and you were just like super hyped on it, and just like really like, I don't know, bringing the community together and like bringing them outside the city. And I feel like that's like one of the special things about it too, is like you're not only like, I feel like impacting the community, impacting these people's lives in such a great way, but also you're highlighting like the city and the area, which is like super as well. Like I feel like there's so many like hidden gems, like I said, that people sleep on, and I feel like it's just such a like complete full package, and it's super rad.
I appreciate that. And what's funny is you're right. I'm super amped about it. I've planned out 2022. I've got to show you the programming. We're doing a lot of like basically quarterly international trips or destination trips, right? They're not necessarily all international. But like people keep on reaching out, friends of mine, and with different ideas, and I want to put everything in next year. I can't do that. I know I can't, but like I'm so hyped about everything we're doing for next year, because anything I missed last year, I'm putting in this year, and more. So I'm gonna be coming with you like, this is a great idea, because authentically, I really feel like it's a great idea. So I'm with you on that. I guess there's something genuine about it, maybe.
That's so hype, man. I can't wait.
Let's see. What is a dream that you've yet achieved?
That is a good question. That's a tough question.
And it could be personal, it can be business, career related, it can be anything.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like I feel like overall, even though I feel like I'm like I guess like a busybody person, I feel like a ambitious person to a sense. I feel like I'm also like a pretty like simple person. I'm just like, hey, like if I have like, I guess like the funds and like I guess the time to just like do like really rad stuff, that's like honestly almost my like ultimate dream, to like do that and to be able to build people up with it. So I would guess like my ultimate dream is kind of like almost like what I'm doing now, and keep like driving it forward. Is just like, I think there's so much potential like with like the run industry and the run community, to keep building it up. And there's so many different like athletes and stuff like that. I mean, most professional like track and field athletes, I mean runners in general, like they don't get paid a lot in the grand scheme of things to other sports, or to some larger sports. And I think there's just like a ton of like room for growth and just awesomeness like within the run space. So just kind of like keep pushing that space forward is like, I would say like my ultimate dream, but just like with just like rad like entrepreneurial ideas that kind of like on the fly and connecting people. It's like,
you know, there's a brand that I admire for doing that and being really creative with that stuff, and that's Red Bull.
Oh yeah,
Red Bull does great stuff. I mean, they kind of go away from the traditional stuff, and I mean they do have like their Formula One, they have things like that, but they really step out of the box. So we have Outside of Stockholm, and the guy running Outside of Stockholm is a really close friend. He's like family to me. And he has a creative agency there, and they just did a project for Red Bull out there, and they built like this. It basically took like what would be, I guess, Union Square, and they built this big cage with basketball court in it, and they did this basketball thing, but they also did art installation. They did like various workout things. It was just, they made the most of the space, and I just commend brands for getting creative and doing stuff that's not necessarily what everyone else is doing. You know, you're doing that with On, and I know you're going to do that with Forest. Forest Run and Recreation, right? So, yeah, I mean, I think your goal is something in line with what's needed, because everyone's afraid to kind of step out of the box, because if you go with what's already being done and it fails, like, oh well, it failed. But if you go with something that's brand new and it fails, then it's your fault, right?
For sure.
But you're taking a bigger risk, because if it's successful, you get all the accolades.
Yeah.
Take a risk. Otherwise, you're going to see all these cookie cutter crap, and it's going to be boring. So I like your idea, and I think if I can help you out in any way, let's do it.
No, much appreciated, man. Yeah, I was definitely like lucky enough this past year too. I like teamed up with Red Bull for a few things, leading up for one of their big initiatives, Wings for Life World Run. And it's a really rad race. So basically, it's like everybody around the world races at this exact same time.
Yeah.
And basically, there's like a live tracker of this car that's like speeding up, or it's like a virtual car.
Right.
Usually they had like course locations, but the last few years, because of the pandemic, it's like been a virtual car with an app. And as it slowly speeds up, it's basically like as far as you can run before the car catches you, that you like basically win, you know?
Right.
But yeah, this year, like I teamed up with them and they had this like insanely epic. So I was like sprinting through the streets of like New York. I started, all the way up at Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx and ran all the way like way out into like Long Island.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, find flatland for that kind of race in Long Island's perfect.
Oh yeah, dude. It was like perfect. I was like
Wait.
cruising around the coast.
Wait, how did you run through Long Island? Did you run into Manhattan and then into Long Island, or you ran?
Yeah, so I ran into Manhattan and then out to the coast.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it was nuts. So I was like weaving through traffic, but the coolest thing I thought was they were like, I was like, hey, like what way can we like spruce this up? Like it'd be really cool. Like I know you guys aren't doing like a car like you usually do. Do you guys have any kind of like Red Bull car that could follow along when we film all this? And they're like, we have this like super large like armored truck.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
It looks impenetrable. It's crazy.
Oh, dude, it's nuts. And they have like a giant DJ booth in the back. So this thing is like rolling through like Times Square with me, like ripping through the
Following
street,
you?
just following me, like
Nice.
blasting.
What did it do for red lights? It just caught up to you when it was green?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And it was awesome, man. It was so cool. I'll have to show you the pictures.
Yeah,
It was
please.
epic,
That's
yeah.
great.
But love the energy. Love Red Bull energy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the creativity they have is why I admire what they do. What is your most embarrassing moment?
I have a lot of those.
Let's hear some.
Yeah.
Or whatever stands out.
For sure. I'm trying to think of like a really good one. I can think of one at On though. When I first started at On, I was working at an expo actually, and so there was these tons of different like pipes basically connecting to like square off these booths to separate them, and all of the booths, it was in Philadelphia, so they had all these like flags like draped over them. Basically it was like red, white, and blue like banners and stuff. And they had one like flipped up around this pole, and you could like cut through it if you were like a vendor. And so I was like carrying a bunch of boxes. I was like, I don't know, like a month into like being a part of the company.
Yeah.
And so all of these poles are like intertwined and interconnected as well. So I'm like carrying like all these boxes, and halfway through like going through this like entryway, I like feel pressure, and I look up, and the pole is like leaning over because the boxes are hitting them, and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I can't move or I'm gonna like knock everything over. And so like I'm trying to like not to move. I don't even know what to do. I'm like trying to like look around for help.
So like it risks knocking down everything, like domino effect?
So basically, yeah. So then I see the pole start like tipping over, and this guy like probably like 200 yards away sees it, and he screams. He's like, "Look out!" And this whole expo like collapses.
Oh my God.
And I'm just standing in the middle, and everyone's like looking at me.
It's like another Morty moment right there.
So I'm like, well, I'm fired. I was like, I'll put in my 2 weeks now.
That's embarrassing as hell. Good job.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
All right. Hold on. What have I not asked you that you want to share about yourself? Anything fun that you want to tell people about yourself that we haven't touched on?
Yeah, man. I don't know. Yeah, basically, yeah. I grew up in Florida. Huge Florida fan. Got the big love down south.
Yeah,
Swamp guy myself. Yeah. Florida man. Definitely was more on the swamp side of things. I wish I was more on the beach side of things. I wish I was a better surfer instead of a swamp buggier. But you're dealt the cards you're given. Yeah, college, and then yeah, man, living true in New York City. Been loving it. Been living in Harlem in the Bronx ever since being in New York City, and I just really love the vibe up there.
And I appreciate that about you, because a lot of
Wait, hold. You just said Harlem and the Bronx. Where you live, in Harlem or the Bronx?
So I lived in Harlem for about.
Listen, I don't want to insult any of our New York viewers. Harlem and the Bronx are two separate places.
Yeah, definitely two separate places. Yeah. But I lived in Harlem for about 3 years, and then we moved across the bridge, probably only about like 3/4 of a mile, into the Bronx. So pretty close by, still similar neighborhood vibes, but in the Bronx now. But I love it, man. It's a super cool spot, lots of green spaces, and such a cool like neighborhoody vibe. And I definitely like really dig that. It's just like everybody's out like, you know, like barbecued and hanging out like on the side of the street.
What part of the Bronx you're in?
I live right by Yankee Stadium.
Okay. I live right by Yankee Stadium. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Technically, that'd be the South Bronx because it's south of 95, so it's the South Bronx.
Yeah. And just like tons of families and stuff out there. So I just like really dig it. Yeah.
I appreciate that because a lot of implants will go to like Manhattan only or Brooklyn. And there's some real neighborhood feeling, family feeling places that are outside of those areas. The Bronx being one of them, Harlem being one of them. And the fact that you didn't follow all these other implants, which, I mean, I don't expect you to, you don't seem like a follower. So that's pretty cool.
Well, definitely, dude. Shouts to Molly, because I moved into with her and she was already living in Harlem.
Shouts to Molly.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. You never left.
Yeah, and I never left. But definitely, but yeah, the Bronx has been definitely a new little journey, but it's been so epic. Definitely love the vibe.
Nice. We're getting to the last segment of the show, and that's the 5 rapid fire questions. You know how it works. You're not a sprinter, but I'm sure you can handle this. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
What's your favorite city other than New York City?
Favorite city other than New York City? Miami.
Miami.
Yes, sir.
That's one of my favorite cities too.
I love Miami.
So
I just love like Hispanic culture, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, and I feel like I just like really like dug it in Miami. I love Florida, of course, so I feel like has a Florida vibe in the sense, but also just the people down there. Like the time that I spent down there, I know like definitely like gets its rap sometimes. It's like kind of like I feel like the Las Vegas of the South sometimes. Like no,
I prefer Miami to Vegas any day.
Oh, for sure, and like.
And I do agree with you with the Latin culture. Chris is half Puerto Rican, and we grew up in a neighborhood that's very Latin influenced. And
you're actually in an area that's predominantly Puerto Rican too. So I mean, that's
yeah.
For sure, yeah. And I don't know. I just like dig the vibe, and I really like dig the people. I mean, honestly, like all the people are usually just like super nice, like really friendly, and I'm definitely more just like. I love like the touchy feel, like people just like want to hug, they want to be close, like they want to like go do stuff, and I just think it's like super rad, and plus like I love the heat, so it can't be Miami.
Yes. Miami's a great place. What's your vice?
My vice, like what do you mean by that?
I don't know.
Yeah. Like.
Understood.
But I would say probably sweets, man. I just like can't live without it. Yeah. Have a good sweet tooth.
Same. It's not terrible as long as it's not. Well, your lifestyle allows you to do that, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. I feel like need the salt and sugars all the time.
Yeah.
Just like burning through everything.
Exactly. What's the worst race you ever ran?
Whew, Leadville 100. Just kidding. It was brutal, man. But worst race I ever ran.
So you just answered the 100.
Yeah, I would say that was probably honestly one of the most tough races I ever ran. But definitely like so epic, man. Unforgettable.
I guess it's the worst race because it's the hardest, but because you achieved it, is it that much more rewarding looking back at it?
Yeah, so rewarding. I mean, I definitely can't speak on this, but but I feel like it's like almost like a vibe of like pregnancy, you know? Like people like go through like a very like traumatic thing. Yeah. And they're like, I'm never doing that again. That was terrible. But then like a year later, they're like, maybe I want another kid. You know? And so like I feel like almost the same thing. But shout out to all the moms out there. I'm not comparing it to like the pain to
you know what it's like to have a baby?
Yeah. But I feel like the same thing. Like when I was like coming up to like the last like 3 miles, was like, I think I'm like gonna quit running after this. Like, oh my God, this is horrible. And then like after a week, I let it settle in a bit. I was like, I would do that again. Yeah.
Understood. Do you have a dream location you'd like to run?
I love the tropics, man. I love the tropics overall. So, but I would love if there's like more mountains. So Florida definitely is a no-go, but I just like love the vibe down there. There's like a biking trail actually in Miami that a lot of people would probably think is like kind of crappy, but I used to run there like all the time. I just loved it. It's like a little bit more like kind of on the coast, but it just like was like kind of like on a ridge line a little bit, like on a mountain bike course. But I love anything like that. One of my favorite trails is the Kala'au Trail in Hawaii. In Kauai, and it probably hit like all like my check marks. It was like up on a super like high mountain, just
Tropics,
like gorgeous like water below, and like very tropical, like humid and
I talked to a friend of mine, Veronica, about doing a trip to Hawaii, and we got to do that eventually. It's one of the things I want to slam packed in 2022. We can't do it, but it's definitely a trip I want to do. And I want to pick your brain about some stuff for Miami. I'd love to do like a long weekend for outsiders in Miami.
Oh, dude, it'd be sick.
But I know the nightlife stuff there.
Yeah.
I don't know the outdoor stuff except for maybe like surfing. You can't really surf in Miami, so I want to pick your brain about that. Last question is, what's your favorite food?
Favorite food, man.
And I know you brought your favorite food, so what is it? What's your go-to here?
I did. I'm gonna shout out Molly again. She dubbed it my secret sauce.
Your secret sauce. So this is the secret to your running success?
Yes, sir. It is right here. So we got 2 mugs. Got a little bit of granola. Pick your favorite granola. Some peanut butter. We got. I usually throw some kind of berries or something in there, but we got like a 2-for-1 special. We got some chocolate.
With berries in it?
With berries in it.
Gotcha.
And then, you know it, shout out to the Energizer Bunny himself.
This is going to be fun because I love trail mix, I love peanut butter, all that, and I'm lactose intolerant, so this is going to be great.
So let's go. Let's do this.
All right, let's see how you prepare this and make it for both of us, and we'll try this on camera.
But yeah, man.
So this is like energy food. This is what really.
This is also the first that somebody's actually making what they like.
For sure.
Every episode.
First,
Yeah,
you gotta.
I mean, it's not like we're baking it, but yeah, this is good that you're putting it together.
So first you put in the granola, then you gotta set the oven for 450.
I see you got Kind Bar there. I
yeah.
wouldn't mind talking to them about outsiders.
Without a doubt, come through, Kind.
Yes.
Wait, was that like a wink wink?
Yes. Kind Bar, holler at me.
Can I get your number, Kind Bar?
Exactly. I'll treat you right.
You're not allergic to peanuts, by any
No.
means, right?
All
right, cool.
I'm good with that.
We don't want to have the first allergic reaction on Inside with Outsiders right here, you know?
I apologize for those spoons. We literally just picked them up because you said you needed spoons,
dude.
and they don't seem like they're actually that good for
They're
the peanut butter.
best spoons I ever felt, dude. Like, I'm usually doing this with my fingers. So.
Thank you for not.
Back when I was living in my car, man, you know, it's peanut butter fingers all day.
Oh, sure. It's college days, peanut butter jelly when you're hungry, ramen, whatever.
Got to do the double scoop.
Those broke
butter.
meals were so good, though. They taste better than some of these like 5-star restaurants
Seriously.
you go to sometimes.
Dude.
I've been on a big acai bowl fix lately. Been visiting a place called Playa Bowls, which is originally out of the Jersey Shore. And they've expanded everywhere.
So good.
And they're so good. My favorite one thus far, and I've been going for it every time, has been the Power Bowl.
The Power Bowl.
So
Dude, I always
Playa
did
Bowls, holler at me too.
Nutella.
Yeah.
The Nutella.
They're really good though. They're delicious. And I love their story. They started off at the Jersey Shore, got a line, and now they're like they had crazy lines waiting for like, you know, you put too much chocolate there.
Oh, dude, yeah. I bumped the mic for a second. I was like, I
Oh,
thought I was
you
gonna
wanna
knock
get
down the
bands?
whole set again.
You have flashbacks?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
don't
I
worry.
love it.
This set is pretty sturdy.
But yeah, I love the acai bowls. It's a go-to. And it turns out people like on diets have acai bowls. That's actually not what you're supposed to be having them for because they're full of calories.
Yeah.
They're really calorically heavy. So if you're trying to lose weight, don't eat acai bowls.
Unless you're going to Pliables to help you lose weight. Shout out to Pliable.
So Pliables has other kinds of bowls. They have like whatever. We're not gonna talk about it, so they holler at me. So all right, it looks like you're almost done.
All right. Give
And
a
then
little,
my favorite part.
little shake up.
See, it doesn't really bother me too much. It just bothers the people around me.
Yeah. All right, I'm out of here right after this. Got 14 grams of protein.
You might have to be. As soon as you pour it, just beeline it for the door.
You know what? We may have to do like a time lapse video over this. Make this time lapse. And that's
You
the
know,
conversation.
I could have set up the phone to do that if we actually knew he was going to be making something like this. Like it would have been actually a pretty good time lapse.
Can we do that with?
No, it literally has to be set up for it.
Oh, damn it!
If you have another mug, I'll round to it. I got all night.
All right. Thank you very much. So this is what you have for breakfast or before any race or all day?
All
Whenever?
day.
All day. All right. This is gonna be interesting with this spoon.
But But yeah, man, honestly, like I have like a sweet tooth, so I feel like it's like a little bit sweeter too on the side because I usually like I said, mix in some fruit as well with the chocolate and everything. And basically, yeah, like I'll have it for like kind of like a dessert at night. But usually like throughout the day too, morning, like afternoon sometime.
It's like Reese's Pieces granola. That's what it tastes like. You know, with berries, which is nice. I'm gonna steal this.
There you have it. It's only 5 calories.
Yeah, right.
All you can eat.
Well, no.
If you chew the glass, it's 5 calories.
Shot glass.
On that note, I'm really hungry. I'm gonna eat the rest of this, so you might want to skip out of here really quickly. But I appreciate you coming by for this interview. Definitely have to have you back here. We gotta find time for you to come on one of our destination trips too. One of our overnights.
Would love that.
We're not running a race. Bring Molly. I haven't met her. I'd love to meet her. But thanks again, and I appreciate all the support. Honestly, we wouldn't be able to do what we've done so far this year without you and your belief in the Outsiders. So thank you very much, man.
Without a doubt, man. No, seriously, thanks for having me on, and seriously, kudos to what you guys are doing. It's so sick. So
Appreciate
if you haven't been out to Outsiders, come through, check it out.
Yes, please do. Thank you. On that note, I'm hungry, so it's time to go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See you next time.